Hello and welcome to the Writer's Workshop with your hosts Flutter Priest and Milk.
Hi.
This week we are going to review a disliked story, or rather I should call it Why Do I Have So Many Dislikes by Dr. Disco. This one was recommended to us by Milk. Milk, what can you tell us about this story?
Absolutely nothing. I haven't read it at all.
Hooray! Good! It looks like it's got a little bit of a mixed reception, but that said, I mean, with a story like Why Do I Have So Many Dislikes, it's probably out of the joke for it, especially it's a comedy, slice of life, rated E for everyone. Description: when Spike writes a fan fiction, he finds himself confronted with a ton of dislikes. What went wrong? Well, clearly, it's just Spike. Nobody likes Spike. Spike's terrible.
Exactly.
Okay, so, for no further ado, let's jump into the story. Ponies have no chill. Spike sat humming away to a jolly tune as he penned down the plot to his story. This is going to be great, he thought to himself, smiling. Since the invention of something called the Internet, ponies could now share anything they wanted to other ponies, whether it be thoughts, statements, facts, or stories. This was his first story ever, and he knew it would be perfect. After all, he was practically the brother to the most grammatically correct pony in the cosmos, and he knew just what to do to make it great. With a flourish of the quill, he slowly began to type out the first few words to his first fan fiction on a site he had found called POP Fiction, which was the shortened version of Power Ponies Fiction. Power Ponies Fiction.
Whoa. Wait, what was the acronym and what's the name?
POP Fiction.
POP fiction, and it somehow translates to Power Pony fiction?
PO
What
is
happened
like
to the O?
PO from
Oh,
piano
like
power.
P below and then space P?
Yeah.
Mmm.
It's supposed to be a take on fan fiction, I'm guessing.
Fucking retarded.
A website that housed all kinds of fan fiction for this fandom, even the more exotic ones. He knew to not turn the mature setting on, or else Twilight might find out. He didn't want Twilight finding out. But he had finally come up with an idea after ages of reading and commenting on stories. He had finally broken the mental barrier in his mind and just knew he would get popular on this new website. Hopefully, he would even make the heralded feature box. A place where all stories went when they were perfectly perfect. The best of the best. There wasn't one story yet to fail his expectations, though he wondered why the bottom three slots kept having old stories popped up whenever they updated. How odd. Cracking his knuckles with a wince, he smiled and began to mutter under his breath as he slowly typed away. Humdrum panted as he successfully finished his morning workout. Just outside his room, Radiance looked at him with star-crossed eyes. Oh my god. Spike finally finished it. He actually did it. This was the most words he'd ever written in one setting. Nearly 1,500. It was beautiful. He had been a long-time hum-dance shipper. A shipper being someone who put two people into an impossible relationship together. And he had always dreamed of writing something as good as the stuff he had come across on the site. He was so proud of his work. He quickly checked it for errors and added an author's note at the top saying, "This is my first story, so please leave a like and follow." Finally, he published the story and submitted it to the moderators, a group of ponies who monitored the first-time story posters on the site. Once you had passed some sort of moderation tests, you were allowed to auto-submit stories, which he had found out with glee when he was going through forum posts. Too bad this was his first story. Now he had to wait several hours for his story to get seen. Glancing at the clock to his left, he yelped. Twilight had been out doing errands, and he had promised to dust the library before she came back. Now it was almost 7 o'clock, and he still hadn't done it. With a sigh, he cleared his history and closed the tab on his web browser of Google Agility, which was so much better than the first one, Internet Turtle. Welp, better get started, he thought before grabbing the duster. That was, until he heard the castle doors open and the unmistakable ring of Twilight's voice. "Hey, Spike, I'm home." Pony feathers, Spike muttered before Twilight came into view. Hey, Twilight. How was that, meeting with, Mayor? Twilight slowly raised an eyebrow as she scrutinized him and the library around her. Gingerly wiping a hoof on the shelf nearest to her, she inspected it before narrowing her eyes at Spike. Spike, did you dust the library like I asked? About that, Spike bristled nervously. Twilight deadpanned at Spike. You didn't you? Yeah. What's the excuse this time? Twilight snarked as she swiped the duster from Spike's claws and began to do it herself. I was writing a story, Spike said. He watched in confusion as Twilight virtually brightened at the words and she stopped what she was doing. She then ran over to Spike and gushed. Really? Oh, what kind of story? What's the genre? How long is it? Is it good? Has it been edited yet? Can I check for grammar and spelling mistakes? Oh, I would love to do that for you, Twilight began to say as she began to list off things that she'd be able to do for Spike. Suggest ideas, edit, add to it. Abruptly, however, Twilight stopped and narrowed one eye as she raised the brow of the other. This isn't some excuse to get away from not dusting the library, is it? You're not going to go unpunished. No, it's not an excuse. I actually wrote a story. So, what's the punishment? No internet for 2 days. What? Spike cried in alarm. But I wrote it online and posted it. How am I supposed to show it to you when I can't use it in the first place? Suddenly he realized what he had said and instantly knew he didn't want Twilight reading his shipfic. For some reason, he got bad vibes from the thought of Twilight reading something like what he had written. It's online? Does that mean other ponies can view it and criticize it? Twilight brightened again. Wow, that just means more ponies to back up any of my claims of lackluster writing. Okay, good job. So that's a no. Hey, Spike asked before shouting. Twilight grinned. I'm just kidding. And yes, but only after I see it tomorrow and you get some sleep today. Spike nodded with a facial expression somewhere between horror and mixed happiness. Yeah. Read my story. Great. Just great. He trudged away to his room in a stupor of thought. This was going to be a long night. So, where is it? What site did you write it on? Inkpad? Google Docs? Pop Fiction, he said nervously as he typed in the URL. It was too early to read fanfiction, much less showing his de facto big sis his fanfiction, which he thought was great but was now beginning to doubt himself. Spike didn't like the uneasy, queasy feeling in his stomach now that he was showing some pony he knew his own works. You wrote fiction? Twilight raised an eyebrow. Please don't tell me you wrote fan fiction. Spike twiddled his thumbs nervously as the webpage loaded and the front page of Pop Fiction showed all the recently posted and updated stories. Yes? Twilight frowned at Spike as she looked over the fan fiction website. Why'd you have to write fan fiction of all things, Spike? Fan fiction instead of dusting the library. Twilight tutted and shook her head. I think I'll add no TV and comic books to that list of punishments. What? No! Twilight tried to argue, but Twilight held a hoof up. No buts. It's already been done. Twilight then smiled excitedly and filled a notepad up with a quill. Now, show me your work, however mundane it is compared to the non-fiction books I've told you read. Spike gulped and grimaced as he went to his account, Rara Bay, and clicked it, and went to his stories tab. With one glance at his story, he shouted in surprise and disbelief. What? Twilight jumped back at Spike's outburst. Spike, what's wrong? What? Spike frowned as he stared in shock. Why do I have so many dislikes? What? Twilight said as she looked over Spike's shoulders. She caught a glimpse of a red bar dominating the side of what was assumed to be the title. Beside the red bar was a hoof pointed down and the number 1397. As she looked over the page, she found that it had several grammatical errors and sporadic use of capitals. When some pony doesn't like a story, they can click this thing here and it adds a number to the number of dislikes. He scrolled down to find countless comments saying how bad the story was, the lack of editing, pace, grammar, and out of context, whatever that one meant. Oh, the
character.
OOC. The
Out of
OOC.
character.
No,
Fucked it
no.
up.
He doesn't know what it says, so it's OOC. So he doesn't know what it means. Just the OOC.
No, well, shit.
Yeah. Because that's what people do. This is a metafic. You have to take a step back and go,
I know it's meta. This is fucking cringing, killing me.
well, that's rude, Twilight pouted. Did they at least write down why it was bad? Yeah, because this doesn't make sense. I wrote it so well, too. It took me forever to write it. Spike frowned, but Twilight patted him in the back. Let's see what's wrong with it, then, Twilight scooted Spike off the chair and in front of the computer, and set all of her writing utensils into place before clicking the chapter and beginning to read. Spike immediately regretted his decision as he saw the frown on Twilight's face. Not only that, but he had forgotten that he had written a shipfic. He twiddled his claws and sweated nervously as he looked around awkwardly. I'll just, dust the library, I guess, while you're doing that. He rushed away and in no time did the job while Twilight had assigned him to do the previous day. He could hear the scratching of Twilight's krill, and when he finally put the duster away before he approached the computer table slowly, he glanced at what Twilight had written. His mouth dropped. She still had written at least 3 full pages of notes and scribblings. Ah, Spike, you're, back. Thanks for dusting the library. It really needed it. You know, maybe you could help me rearrange the library again after she realized she was about to go on a tangent and face huffed. Anyways, yeah, your story was interesting? Oh, what are those notes you have there? Spike asked, laughing anxiously. Oh, these. Twilight chuckled nervously before unsuccessfully hiding them behind her. It's, nothing. Nothing. Your story was great. Yes, it was wonderful. Spike squinted at Twilight at that. He switched between Twilight and the papers and trying to keep out of view. Come on, Twilight, I can't get better without some comments. Twilight bit her lip before sighing and filling the papers back in front of her. Taking a slow, deep breath, she read through them quickly and fixed Spike with a sympathetic look. To put it frankly, it's horrible. Spike felt like he had just been gotten a punch to the gut. Probably worse than the one children's book I got a while ago with all those typos in it. Having the Princess of Bookness herself say that Spike's story was horrible was as heart-wrenching as getting roasted with the fire by your true lover. I'm sorry, but the amount of misspellings and improper word choices, as well as the very pace of the story and near lack of capitals, made it almost unreadable. And there goes Spike's dignity. The paragraphs were oddly indented or spaced out, and the dialogue was all wrong. Spike swore his scales were turning gray. And the characters were just way too in their, relationship to be their actual personalities. They never would have reacted like that, with Radiance being all class and Humdrum being the sidekick. It would never really work out. Spike stared listlessly into empty space. He had worked so hard on this story. Now it was completely destroyed by the users of pop fiction in Twilight. He must have been staring into oblivion for much longer than he thought, because Twilight waved a hoof in front of him a few times. Spike, are you alright? Twilight asked worriedly. Spike nodded slowly before walking out of the library, slowly closing the door behind him, and he went straight to his room, where he proceeded to stare emptily at the ceiling on his bed. The ceiling on his bed? Above his bed.
Above his bed.
Yeah. Twilight opened his door to his room and saw his empty eyes before Twilight frowned. Hey, Twilight, Spike said monotonously. Are you sure you're okay? Twilight said softly. No, my story just got ripped in half, and I'm an idiot for writing it. Spike muttered. Hey, it's still written by my favorite reptile. I'll hold it close even if it isn't exactly the best. Spylight, wow. Twilight cocked her head to the side in thought before walking up to Spike and hugging him. And then we can write a story together. How about that? Spike felt a tear roll down his cheek, and he hugged back. Thanks, Twi. Now about that punishment. Ah, pony feathers, Spike moaned, and Twilight laughed. Come on, let's go get something from Pinky. And with that, they left for Sugar Cube Corner, the most disliked story on pop fiction now left behind, gaining at least 20 votes a day. The end. Author's note, I feel like this was too short. Oh, I like meta stories. I really do.
GG no re 420 blaze it spike get wrecked faggot.
Is that really all you have to say?
That's pretty much it.
Really? Okay. There were grammatical issues at times. It really wasn't a big deal, but I mean, it's not enough to leave a dislike over.
No, I think the whole reason it got disliked was because it made reference to why people dislike in the first place.
Yes. Oh, yeah, definitely. You did a meta film fiction story in a way that, oh gosh, how do I put it? In a way that doesn't necessarily break the rules, because meta stories where if you say, hey, Penstroke and Short Skirts Explosions walk into a bar and they offer each other drinks, Short Skirts is sad and Penstroke gets edgy, like that, those things are banned, and for good reason. You don't want to actually call out other users on FimFiction. There was a Clop story once about a non-pencil and I, and it got taken down really quickly because it was meta. And this is meta and fourth wall breaking, but not in the wrong way. It's good. It's definitely. I can definitely say you captured a lot of accurate elements in here. Like, if I had to show a friend of mine the actual fan fiction I've written, which I did in the way early parts of the fan fiction, that's exactly how it feels. And when you get scathing reviews like that, yeah, I can relate to Spike, where it just feels like it ruins your whole day, and I think you captured that well. That said, it was funny. It was still funny, and you captured everything well. You left it with a nice little ending there at the end. I can't knock on you for the actual story. And overall, it was penned well. What can I say that would improve it? What would improve this generally good story? I'll definitely say it doesn't feel original. It's all stuff that's been trekked and covered before by other stories and by other writers, and it doesn't feel genuine. I feel like I walked into this reading this story, having already have read this story before. All the beats were familiar. I feel like if you took a more unique twist on it, like say if Spike had the most liked story of all time, and then you have Twilight, who is this super professional like writer reader, and she reads over it and is like, this is garbage, but it's still really liked. I think that would have been a more interesting angle to take, and it would have been really fun. I would have been really interested in how that would have unveiled. But par for the course. This is fine. It feels safe. It doesn't feel like it's a really challenging story to get into or a challenging story to really approach. It's fluff work, and there's nothing wrong with fluff. I don't know if this got disliked or just not disliked, but featured, but it feels like a typical featured story.
Something for a quick feel and whatnot.
Yeah.
I feel like they were really aiming for people who had been around the site for a while, because a lot of these tropes are basically new people showing up to the site and saying, oh, what are these three at the bottom of the featured box? And, oh, the featured box is such a great place to be, and I should write my first story, and it should be a ship, and my name should be something really ridiculous, and on and on and on and on.
Yeah, it captures the essence of the new film fiction user. I can't say that I ever really felt that way when I was working on it, but I'm sure that's how people felt. I don't know.
I think it's more or less just a joke towards new users and how they're perceived in the film fiction site.
Right. So, who knows? I haven't seen Dr. Disco before, so maybe that's maybe do a little research. Maybe he's projecting some. No, 88 followers. That's not bad.
Maybe he is Spike.
Ooh, and he released Christmas I've Come to Bargain, which was recently featured.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this guy's on the right track. He's doing some stuff. He's doing good work.
He knows where he's going.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So keep it up, Dr. Disco. You're doing good and you're making good progress. Next thing you know, you will be able to hit that regular feature box all the time.
God help you if you do.
Yeah, it's not fun. So, where to improve though? Watch for grammar, watch for commas. Overall, this story was good. I find it really hard. Nothing like stuck out to me as this was unforgivably bad. I personally like indents, but I can see that isn't what you're going for, so that's fine. That's all a matter of personal preference.
As long as it's consistent, I don't think it much matters.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I mean, as long as we're not, indenting one or two things here, and then the rest is all one-sided, and not, as long as we're at least consistent in one way or the other.
If I had to challenge you to do anything at all regarding your writing, I think it would be important to take a look at the showing, not telling. I'll take a specific area from here because on the whole, you didn't do bad at telling rather than showing, but there's some spots where you could really improve and make it even better. Like, for example, I highlighted here, he rushed away and in no time did the job Twilight had assigned him to do the previous day. He could still hear the scratching of Twilight's krill when he finally put the duster away and before he approached the computer table slowly. As he glanced at what Twilight had written, his mouth dropped. That's showing, not telling. But the two previous sentences before that were all telling. Like, it's all very obvious things. You don't describe how he does it. You don't include things like he pauses now and again to look back to see if she stopped or the dread that he feels. Like, you could do more to show those feelings and emotions. But that said, on the whole, this was enjoyable. So, good job. I want to see more of you, Disco. Take my upvote. It's a shame this got so many downvotes, even if it was for the sake of the joke. Keep up the good work. Any final thoughts, Milk?
Can I just repeat what I said earlier? Just GG no re, just the entire time?
Okay.
No, I mean, it's just keep going where you're going. You got the right direction.
That's the nature of meta stories. You're going to have people that love them, and you're going to have people that hate them. Like, if you deal with sensitive topics, you're going to have people that are offended by it, and some that are going to think that you rock their world by it. So, it's a polarizing story for a polarizing audience. I think it's a hit for me. Milk is just noped the fuck out. So, thank you. Good job. And thank you, everyone who's listened to this edition of the Writer's Workshop. If you disagree with us, go ahead and leave a comment down below. If you'd like to check out the story for yourself, give it its own upvote or downvote, whatever you want to do. Go ahead and check the description, and feel free to tune in to us next week. Thanks.
Or don't.